As you know, during CoachbuiltChronicles we discuss interesting pieces of car design, and in this case a piece of car design that is quite close to my heart. You might know that based on not Dawn, the convertible, but based on Wraith, we designed a shooting brake conversion called Silver Spectre, now driven by Mr. Dario Franchetti. So we know this car rather well, and I've always been very fond of actually both Dawn as well as Wraith. Why is that? Well, because I think these were fantastic pieces of relevant Rolls-Royce design, and arguably even better than the work they're currently doing. I think after Phantom 7, of course the now previous outgoing Rolls-Royce Phantom, the brand needed a smaller, slightly smaller car. Of course, in this case, based on the 7 Series. Dawn was the convertible based on the Wraith chassis and was definitely a more dynamic, less formal piece of car design. And quite a bit of innovation when it came to the work that the fantastic car designers at Rolls-Royce did on Phantom 7, a truly marvelous piece of a car design, were pushed into the DNA, the new Rolls-Royce DNA that was established for Phantom. So one of these items were the stands, so the way the car sits on its wheels, but also the way the surfaces, in this case it's a black on black car, so the surfaces are a bit harder to read, but the surfaces were a bit less architectural. Phantom 7 is very architectural and well executed in that matter, but this is a slightly more younger car, slightly more dynamic, and true surfaces, true proportions, but also true surfaces that is communicated. So I might invite you to come and stand over there, and you'll see in plan view, so from top view, that the front end is actually quite rounded, and especially the fender is pushed inwards, the fender corner that is, making the nose quite a bit more dynamic, and especially looking at the side, you see how the surfaces are pulled in. There is this very soft blister around the front wheel and a slightly stronger blister around the rear wheel. But of course, it's still a Rolls-Royce, so it's delicately done. And most innovation is actually up front when it came to the design DNA. The Phantom had still basically the classical Phantom grille, so the grille that is not integrated, so to speak, in the design of the car. And here something quite different happened. Of course, this again, it's all black, so a bit harder to see on film, but this is all now body shape. Beautifully tensioned, nice facets running around, and actually the main shape of that grille flows into the bonnet, flows into the side of the car, all the way towards the back. So this is basically a fuselage with the wings attached to it. And then talking about that grille, of course normally the fascia here and the lower end is of course chrome. This car has been painted. It's not a black badge, although it might look like it is, but it's not. But that grille is actually what draws me to the design. I think a beautiful interpretation, way more three-dimensional than the more formal grille we can find on Phantom. And of course, Phantom Coupe already pushed that grille forwards a bit. Phantom Coupe and Drop Head Coupe both were a bit more dynamic than, of course, the regular saloon. However, here we have the blades under an angle, we have that depth and beautiful surfacing of that grille surface in general. Very, very nicely done indeed. Moving towards the side here, we have, of course, the waft line nicely integrated in the coach doors. The large door handles, of course, emphasizing that this car has the coach doors. Then towards the rear we have that soft feature line that swells around here, emphasizing more or less anatomically correct that this is where the power is being put on the road, around the rear wheels. And then everything is culminating here in the back in very delicate elements Again, three-dimensionally executed, more three-dimensional than they are on Phantom. In this case, painted in black. Normally this is chrome. And there's a lot of beautiful detailing going on, linking the front end to the back end with that rich surfaces around the tail light in this case. Two tailpipes, always visible on these cars. On Phantom 7 this was an option to either have them or not have them, because this is a more dynamic piece of design. They were always there. I think truly one of the high points in Rolls-Royce history, recent Rolls-Royce history. And the same goes for the interior, where the main recipe of wood and leather culminated in a more modern piece of car design. Again, this car is black on black, so a bit harder to read, but nevertheless a great car in many different aspects. That's of course why we created Silver Spectrum. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to discussing yet another beautiful piece of car design in the next Coach Built Chronicles.